Podcast listeners. This is Ed Franklin with the Ed Franklin No Limits podcast. And today is my 63rd birthday, and I want to share some thoughts about that. So let's get started. Hello, podcast listeners. This is Ed Franklin with the Ed Franklin No Limits podcast. Always remember you can get a hold of me at edfranklin.nolimits@gmail.com or any of my social media platforms. I seem to be all over the place. And like I said, today's my 63rd birthday. And I had a lot of thoughts. And the funniest thing happened. I made notes last night, a whole page of notes, and I brought them upstairs to my studio, if you want to call it that. And I can't find the notes anywhere. So, like normal, we're just going to wing it. So, the first thing I want to do is tell you I can't even express how much gratitude I have for all of you and the Facebook posts and the texts and all that. I mean, it's not even noon today, and I've got almost 200 uh, texts and Facebook posts and things like that. And I will get back to every one of you and thank you for doing that. And I know one of the things I do every morning after I check my emails, I go to Facebook and I wish everybody a happy birthday. Now, sometimes I just use their standard tab point, and I got a lot of that today, and that's fine with me because the fact that you took the second of your life and just posted that, uh, I can't tell you how much gratitude I have. I got to tell you, when I was younger, I never thought I'd make it to 63. My parents died fairly young. My dad at 46, my mom at 60. I have other relatives that died even earlier than that. And so I just got to thank God that I'm here, that He woke me up today, and that I'm healthy enough to go to the gym and I'm healthy enough to do this podcast. And, y'all know I've had a pretty rough year, but something changed Friday, and I'm going to tell you a story about that. But like I said, I can't not thank you enough for all the posts. And it's warm in this room, and it's like my glasses are fogging up right now a little bit, but that should go away soon. If you're not watching this, it doesn't matter. So Friday morning, I woke up and I didn't really want to wake up. I got to be honest with you. Things have been so tough recently with the job hunt, with finances and all that, and I'm holding on by a thread. But something happened Friday, so I get up to go to the gym, right? And I look at the clock. I'm like, no, it's like 3:30 in the morning. I'm like, I'm just going to lay here and not get up. And then I started thinking about podcasts that I've talked about and discipline and all these things. And I pulled myself out of bed, went down, ate something, came up, got dressed, uh, and I went to the gym. And it was a good workout. I always say there's no such thing as a bad workout, but it was a good workout. And I talked to a couple of people there, which I rarely ever do. And it was a nice experience. The second thing that happened that day is for the last 2 months, I've been trying to volunteer once a week at the senior center. And all I do when I go to the senior center is in the Poway Senior Center, they have a lunch that seniors can pay for it's like $5. And every week they have something different. And I've been working with the same volunteers and the same people in there. And I had missed a few weeks because Piper needed some attention for school and things like that. That was at that time. And I'm just dreading going. I'm like, I don't want to do this. It was hot. It's hotter in this room. And but I went because I had committed to going, and I had told the person that's in charge of the volunteers that I would be there. So I drug myself to this thing, and the people there remember me, right? And people there remember me from coming in other days, and they just had this great gratitude for me coming, and they were appreciative. And we've had conversations in the past, and they know about all the kids, so they asked me about the kids, and they were asking me all these questions. And it just turned out to be this really great 2 hours that I go. It's like 2.5 hours by the time I get there and volunteer. And there's a particular woman that's there that we speak just about every time I'm there. She's there. I think she goes every day. And we were talking about gratitude and kind of keeping, good thoughts in your mind and things like this. And I left there like walking on air. There was, like I said, two things I did not want to do that day, but I did them anyway. And I started to think a little bit different about gratitude, and because I'm not very good at it when I'm down in the dumps, I don't, it's not something that's top of my mind, and it should be. And it's just like you taking that quick second and just hitting happy birthday, Ed, even though it's a AI thing, it doesn't matter. The fact that you just took the step to do that one little thing makes me, I'm just overwhelmed with happiness right now. I have over 200 well wishes already, and it's not even 12 o'clock yet in the day. I've gotten texts from my kids. Um, and then Piper made me something really cool, and Carson sent me this text last night that was very moving. And I would read it to you, but I couldn't get through it without bawling. So I'm not going to do that. So I'm on social media a lot, and my algorithms bring me things about gratitude and about just, you know, having to get through storms, and I should listen to them more. And I had some notes about these, but there was one particular one that I remember, and it was talking about God and whether you believe in God or a higher power or whoever. And he said, we're not really meant to go out and look for jobs. What we're meant to do is follow God, and then he'll give us opportunities. And I think this sales lab that I'm trying to get off the ground and my speaking engagements that I want to do more of are those opportunities that he's putting out there for me. He's kept me healthy enough to do those. He's kept me motivated enough. He's helped me, with technology and things like that that I've, consistently am getting better at. And I thought that's an interesting way of looking at things. It was more, what's your purpose in life? What are you designed to do? I don't think in the whole scheme of things, if I went over my life, that I was really called to be a sales manager or a operations manager or whatever. And I've had a couple interviews in the last couple of weeks that have not, one did not pan out. The other one, I don't think it's going to pan out. I had two phone calls in the last month from friends of mine. One guy that I hadn't talked to both of them in a long time, but one in particular, we were talking. He's in the same situation I am, and I'm 63 today. And on your resume, you're supposed to show that you're younger but you know what? I can't do that. I'm proud to be in 63. I'm proud of the shape I'm in. I'm proud of the way I look. I'm proud of all those things. God gave me some gifts that I appreciate. I'm still strong in a gym and all those things. But I had talked to this one gentleman, and he kept telling me, Ed, you just got to say what you got to say just to get the job. And he was kind of telling me not to be me. He knows me, and I know. Listen, I can be a little much sometimes. There's no doubt about it, especially in a work situation. When the kids were little, they never wanted to do anything with me because I understand I get a little intense. I know what I'm doing, and I want to get it done, and I want them to learn. That's how I was raised, and that's how I learned things. That just to be, just to be me. And listen, if I have to, I don't know what's going to take for me to get back some income moving here, but whatever it takes, at the end of the day, I'm going to be Ed Franklin. And if that's too much for people, then I'm sorry. I don't live in a shell. I'm wear my heart on my sleeve. I will tell you the truth if you ask me. Um, is it over the top sometimes? Not to me. To me, it's very normal. We talked about this in the John Riley podcast, and he was encouraging me to be as authentic as I can. If I use a cuss word, I use a cuss word. It's not the end of the world. There's guys online saying it all over the place, and here I drop one here and there. And no one's ever told me that I shouldn't do that. Well, that's not true, but no one will call me and say, "Hey, Ed, I saw your podcast. You shouldn't use the F word here." And because I wouldn't care, I would say, "Well, I did, and it's over." This podcast started because I wanted it to be organic, right? I wanted it to be no edit. I don't do any editing. I'm going to do a little bit of editing out of this one because I got up and fixed the fan while I was talking to you and some things like that. But for the most part, I don't do any editing. If I say something, I say something. If you don't like it, we have different opinions about things. When I had this last interview was last week, and it was with a girl that was probably in her 30s, which is no problem her being in her 30s. She was probably an HR, she probably has a degree in HR or something. And she was reading me questions off of a prompter or off of her computer screen or wherever. And they were very canned questions. We asked this question to all of our candidates. And when they do that, they're really trying to hire the description of what they put out there. Now, as silly as that sounds, who they should be hiring is somebody who's enthusiastic, who's willing to learn, who's willing to get better, who's willing to go the extra mile. That's who they should be looking for. Whether the person knows the job or not or has a book of business, that's who they should be hiring. Authentic people. You know, the reason I'm where I'm at in my life is because of things I've done. We've, as hard as that is to accept, the reason I'm in this situation right now is because of decisions I've made in the past. Now, at the time when I made those decisions, it was the right thing to do. It was the only thing to do for my grandchildren, for my stepdad. Oh, and I'll tell you a little story about my stepdad here in a minute. And I wrote down a sentence that said, wisdom through failure, right? Now, I don't really ever consider anything I've done a failure. I have tried things and then decided not to do them and not follow through with them. Maybe I found out it was more work than I wanted to be involved in. I don't know. Or maybe there wasn't enough profit. I don't know what. But I made some decisions about taking care of grandkids. And Kit, just like an angel, she just went along with me. I mean, it's not, they weren't my kids to raise. They weren't her kids, especially to raise. They're not even her blood. But she never even flinched and just took care of those kids like they were her own. And that says something about her character, and it says something about mine too, by the way. My stepfather, my dad died when I was 19, and a few years later, my mom got remarried to the most wonderful husband she could have found. My dad, in my eyes, was good and great in a lot of ways, but he was not a good husband. He was a terrible husband. He wasn't much of a father either, but the time we spent together, I learned a lot and I gained a lot from him, and I liked being around him. He was kind of a badass, and that. My mom married this guy that was very loving, very good Catholic, very. I mean, they used to sit together, and she would sit in the middle of his Ford Taurus when they drove, like cowboys, you know, and they were just holding hands all the time and going for walks, and whatever she wanted, he got her. I mean, they didn't have a lot of money, but she wanted a house in Julian. They got a house in Julian, and they lived happily ever after there. Now she passed away in 1997. And my stepfather had, and it's funny I even call him my stepdad because they got married. I was already 20, 21 years old, something like that. So, that was kind of her life. I just always said my stepdad because I got to be very close to him while they were married. And then when my mom died in 1997, I became even closer to him because I felt bad. He was living up in Julian by himself, and my mom was his world. And she wasn't there. And he would always say that when your mom fell asleep, he would never use the D word. And he had 5 children. One was kind of estranged right after he was 18. And the other four, they didn't really treat my mom very well. And that did not make him happy. His name was Ski. His name was Leonard Lazinski, but we called him Ski. And his doctor, I would speak with him almost daily after my mom passed away because I could just feel how lonely he was and he wanted to chat. And he had some extracurricular stuff he used to do. He used to help out the priest at the church and make sure things were clean and the candles were done and all that. But other than that, he was alone a lot. But he had a couple of good friends he used to go to lunch with. So he kind of disowned his children at some level, and they kind of disowned him, which was really sad because the guy was the greatest guy in the world. And I think he was a pretty tough father when the kids were younger. But I mean, I was an adult. He treated my kids like his own grandchildren, and he was just the sweetest man you could ever meet. Taught me a whole nother different side of a man, and more of a kind, you know, more of a kind side. And my dad was more of like a hard ass, right? His doctor would call me and give me news about, he was getting up there in age and he was starting to have some health problems, like we're all going to have, or we have already. And he calls me one day and says, "Look, your stepdad's friend just passed away," and Ski had told me that. In fact, he gave me a letter that this man, his name was Joe, he wrote. God, I get choked up talking about this. He wrote the sweetest letter to my stepdad about they were best friends and they used to go to lunch almost every day, and they had these conversations about their spouses because they both had lost their spouses. And Joe finally passed away, and Ski's doctor called me and said, "You got to get Ski out of Julian. I mean, the guy is going to die of loneliness." So we had already remodeled our house like in 2003, and we never really had thought about putting a second story on, but we did concrete, we did the pool, we did the house roof, all this, just like made the house beautiful. And so at one point, we just said, look, and we added a room for Ski to stay at when he came down. We didn't really like the room. It was kind of off the kitchen, and it ended up being a dining room, but he would come down and stay in a hotel every holiday, all those things. And we decided to put a second story on the house, get the girls upstairs, build him like a granny flat downstairs, and we did that. And when we did that, he finally moved in with us and lived the rest of his life out with us, with the kids, with Kit and I, and the dogs and the cat. I don't know if he had a cat, but all these, I don't know, he might have had a cat. But he just, I think it just made his end of his life really happy. And like I said, we didn't have to do that. Now, there were some residuals financially for me on that, and I didn't even never even crossed my mind that it was going to cost money. We also took on two grandkids that were their parents were having some issues, and we didn't have to do that either, but we did it. And some of those things, some of those decisions are now, coming back a little bit. I think that I'm not making excuses. I've had some problems at work, at jobs, and was it my fault? I guess. I mean, I would take responsibility for some of it, but I think the biggest thing is I trusted people that I shouldn't have trusted, and it made it very difficult to survive in that environment. And then they decided they would do what they did. In my sales lab, which should be coming out this week, and I hope you see it, even though if you're not in sales, I hope you watch it because it's kind of about people. It's not really about sales. It's about communication and discipline and expectations and things like that. And I want y'all to do me a favor, and I'm going to put this on my post when I post this video, is that it took you, and like I said, so much appreciation to all of you that even took a second to click that button. When you see my videos, take that second, please, and just share them. You don't have to say anything about them, even if you don't watch them. Just share the video. It could resonate with somebody. My podcast as a whole could resonate with somebody. I'm always looking for celebrities that could resonate with someone that knows somebody that knows somebody. I mean, this is how networking works. So this isn't going to be a long podcast. In fact, I'm just about to wrap up. It's just one of these. I can't even tell you how. I want to come up with some more words, but I can't even articulate how much that means to me. I had to turn off my phone because every 10, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 5 minutes, I was getting another like or a birthday wish. And it's just, you made my entire day. Friday's made my entire weekend. I've had an opportunity this weekend not to worry so much, not to focus on what hasn't happened yet, because I do that. I'm a worrier. I worry about this is going to happen and this is going to happen. What's going to happen is I need to stay focused and do what I have to do, just like you all do. And I'll do another podcast about gratitude because I really want to make it longer. And hopefully you gain some knowledge through my wisdom and my life that how important gratitude is. Friday really changed my life in a few ways. And I have to really concentrate and make that continue because this whole weekend has just been, I don't know why it was different this weekend, but this whole weekend just changed my mind a little bit and has got me focused in some other directions that I hope can help. In addition to my Sales Lab podcast, I'm going to add in some speaking information on that podcast too. And I know you people out there in business or in organizations, nonprofits or whatever, there's opportunities for me to speak and to make an impact in your group. And I want you to do me a favor. And if you think you should share it with somebody like that, please do. That's the only way this whole thing's going to grow is if you guys help me out. So I don't want to belabor the point. Listen, this was a quick podcast, and I just wanted to get it out of the way. And my next podcast, I'm going to do a little better planning and not lose my notes. And I'll have to staple them to my forehead or something, and so I don't lose them. And I know I'm going to find them when I'm done. But again, uh, I can't thank you enough. You have no idea what it means to me. That quick click. If you can just see, if you see my videos or see my clips, just share them. Like I said, you don't have to say anything. Just share them with your network. I have almost 5,000 friends on Facebook, and I generally get about 400 to 500 of these well wishes during my birthday, and it just goes into my heart. I just can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I just posted a thing with Liam Neeson where he's not the and I'll find you and I'll kill you. It says, I will find you and I will hug you. And I wish I could just reach out and hug all of you right now because it means that much to me. So this is the Ed Franklin No Limits podcast. Thank you, thank you, thank you for my 63rd birthday. I didn't know if I was going to make it this far, but God's grace, I got up this morning and hopefully that continues for a while. I feel great. Uh, everything's well. Actually, I was going to say everything's going great. It's really not, but that's all right because I need to fix that, right? I need to make, if I'm going to be somewhere in another year, I need to make some decisions now on where that's going to take me. But thank you very much. You can always reach me at edfranklin.nolimits@gmail.com. You can go on my social media. I'm all over the place: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all those places. Thank you so much for the birthday wishes. Um, you think it doesn't mean anything, it means the world to me. So have an awesome weekend. 4th of July next week. Have a great 4th of July. The weather's supposed to be great. Please be careful. We need you here. The world needs you here. You have an intrinsic value to your friends, to your family, to society, to the world, and you're still a miracle to me. You're 1 in 400 million chance that you were even born. So thank you, miracles, for listening to me. And I'll have another podcast out very soon. Thank you very much.